Good morning, Gators. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that your spring break was somewhat restful given the circumstances. At the very least, I hope you got a mental break of some sort given the quarantine and that you're ready to resume our march towards the somewhat ethereal finish line that lies out there somewhere in front of us. I just have a couple pieces of information for everyone today. The first thing that concerns ceremonies, specifically graduation and senior awards night. As of today, we still have no decision on graduation. However, we have made a few suggestions to the district about that all important event. One of the suggestions we made was to push graduation back into the summer with multiple possible dates of occurrence based on when we were allowed to ease social distance restrictions. For example, if we were allowed to go back to school May 1st, then graduation could happen June 20th. If we're allowed to ease social distancing on June 1st, then graduation could happen around the middle of July. If we're allowed to ease social distancing July 1st, then graduation could happen somewhere around the first week of August. Some kind of system like that. All of that would be dependent on health experts telling us that it's safe to hold such an event at that time, plus the availability of the venues. We also suggested a virtual graduation at the normal time, which is the option we're currently planning for here at GVHS, mostly because it's the only option we can really control and plan for at this time. If we do it this way, the event would still be held or still could be held on time, and a lot of the speeches and so forth would still be part of the equation. We'll share more details about exactly what that would look like if that option is the one selected. We also sent in the suggestion that upon being allowed to stage an event, but without the availability of the large venues such as the Thomas and Mack and the Orleans at the school, that we do a staggered graduation where we would recreate the graduation ceremony multiple times throughout a chosen day with small numbers of graduates, with each student and only the parents invited. Basically, we would do the ceremony in the gym for students with last names A through D at 9 a.m., then E through H at 10 a.m., or some kind of system like that. This would allow us to limit the number of spectators and keep the number of personal interactions low. So those are just a few options we submitted. I'm sure that other schools have submitted ideas as well, so we'll just have to wait and see what the district decides to do. We are planning on doing a virtual senior awards night on the originally scheduled date, which is May 12th. Please contact your counselor if you have questions about that event. All right, so I do have some more news about trip refunds. It looks as if we will receive refunds for the orchestra trip to New York City and Boston for nearly the total amount. However, the travel agency is telling us right now that they are holding back $200 per person as compensation for their work. I have expressed to them that I believe that number to be excessive, and I'm working with them to lower that figure. But so far, at least, it looks like we're getting most of your money back. I do not have a timetable for the return of that money, as the travel agency only said that they will return our money as soon as they get it back from the vendors. On the band trip, we also have a little good news. It looks like we're getting back most of the money from the flights that were booked. However, we still have not heard anything from the company responsible for booking the ground package, meaning the hotels, excursions, etc., in Spain. I suspect that it may be some time before we hear anything from them, as Spain is still under lockdown. I have had a few questions about how seniors go about paying for senior fines. At this point, we'd like to see what the plan is for graduation, so I'm going to hold off laying out a plan for that right at the moment. Also, seniors, if you are credit deficient, you need to make sure that you are still working towards getting your classes completed. If you have any troubles accessing your courses at all, you need to email your teachers directly. They're the ones most able to assist you. If you can't reach them or they can't solve your problem, your next email should be to our lead counselor and Apex program coordinator, Miss Kelly Grimm. You can find her email address on our website. So that brings us to today's message. And today's message is about looking ahead. I think it's pretty obvious that this quarantine is going to continue in some form or fashion for a while longer. And it's possible and even likely that we don't go back to school this year. Given the nature of these types of pathogens, we could even be in for a series of rolling quarantines or lockdowns for the remainder of this year and into next. One of the things we know about the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 is that when the lockdowns were eased too soon, additional outbreaks happened, and those were more severe than the initial ones. That's why it's so important to learn from this set of circumstances right now about how to successfully manage this challenge. because it's very likely we'll have to repeat this protocol. I've given a lot of speeches in my time as a high school principal, and I've often said that the difference between school and life is that in school, the lesson comes before the test. In life, the test comes first and the learning follows. And in life, the test will be presented over and over again until you learn the lesson. So I'm hoping that you figured out how to navigate the very choppy waters of remote learning at this point. And if you haven't yet, don't beat yourself up about it. Just get started. There's an old Chinese proverb that goes like this: the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the next best time is right now. We've still got a lot of work to do before this year is over, and regardless of our circumstances, we have to get it done. It probably seems like there's still a lot of obstacles to overcome, and you're right. We got a pretty strong headwind blowing in our direction. But keep this in mind. Planes only take off when the wind is blowing against them. And remember, we got this. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.